Morning participants, students, and my dear colleagues. It gives me a great pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome on behalf of the Smedu Photography Club and Smedu School of Pro Expressionism. We are here with a World Photography Week celebration that will be from 12 August to 19 August 2021, organized by SPC Committee. SPC is our student-driven club, helps our students to become better future photography professionals. The motto of the club is to contribute, collaborate, and appreciate. This event would give us insight about wildlife photography. Mr. Gagan Kumar, who is a photographer and video specialist. Other than this, he is also a leader puppetry artist, performed across country from last 15 years. He have won several photography competitions. His photos have been featured in Netvan International Wildlife Photography Exhibition. He have also worked with some known figures like Indian chess champion Vidit Gujarati, YouTuber Ranveer Alavadia, Adyan Suman, Indian Bollywood actor, Tanya Sachdev, Indian chess grandmaster, and others. Currently, he is working as lead video specialist with Unacademy, India's largest test prep edtech, working on number of projects. Thank you. I request Mr. Gagan sir to start the session.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Ashmi. Thank you so much. So yeah, it's been so long since I just met you guys, and it gives me great pleasure to be here today and share my words on this very special occasion. So yeah, let's just get started with. So if I could I'll just share my screen and I'll just go ahead with the PPT and I'll just explain you guys what wildlife photography is. So if I could get the access, please.
Yeah, I will make you the co-host. Okay, please do.
Are you guys able to see this?
Yes, sir.
The slides?
Yes, sir. It's excellent.
Perfect. So a lot of people just have the different perception about what is photography. So for me personally, photography is just truth. So if you just ask everybody what is photography, hundreds of people have completely different explanation about photography, because it's just like asking who's God, what is God, or what is that supreme energy. So photography has a different perception with everybody, and a lot of people have a complete different perception where they completely believe in that is the reason they come into photography and they become a photographers and they pursue it for lifetime as a profession. So I just have a couple of things. So home is wild, this is the topic I'm going to talk about today. So again, home is wild, wild is home, because it's not just earth is not just for us, we just share it with the wildlife, right? So it's also our responsibility. Just being a very supreme and highly intelligent species doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. But yeah, that is where we come in, and that is where we have this leverage to do whatever we want and explore things and learn and work on the betterment of wildlife and for this earth. So just a small brief about me. As Ashmit said, there's nothing much, and yeah, so I've been a leather puppetry artist from last 15 years, and I've performed across country, across India. So I've performed in various huge events, and after that, yeah, I pursued photography. So I've also done my graduation in photography, and after that, I just started working for some freelancing projects, and then I just joined with Unacademy, and currently I'm working as a lead video specialist at Unacademy. So yeah, once I'll just start with my journey, photography journey, because I feel that is what some of you can relate to. So when I was a kid, so I always had this passion towards photography. Then later on, so obviously school starts and you go to sports, you go to a couple of things, then the curriculum just sets on you and you can't do anything much. And yes, after I was 15 or something years old, then photography again kicked me in. So I just took a small camera, which was Canon 700D, and I started exploring. So that is when a lot of things came in. So obviously every photographer starts with this dream ki मुझे travel photographer बनना है या wildlife photographer बनना है. Majority of people starts photography doing this. Then they just explore and they just taking their interests and they'll understand what they want to do. And a lot of people turn into fashion. A lot of people turn into fine arts and product and whatnot. So yeah, that's how I started. And initially, the moment I started, even I wanted to be a travel and wildlife photographer. And after the couple of years down the lane, I understood that is one of the hardest paths to choose, especially in terms of career and especially in terms of income. So yeah, even photography, even though photography is your passion, photography, you love doing it, but at the end of the day, you again have to earn from it, right? So that is a very, very important factor. So whatever you do, whatever you want to do, and if you're whatever you're passionate about, but if that passion doesn't serve you anything in your real life, if it doesn't serve you income, at one point or the other you're going to feel bad, or you're going to feel like, what am I doing with this? So yeah, that is what happened with me initially when I started travel photography and wildlife photography. And it took me some time and some guidance from my lecturers to understand what is wildlife photography, what is travel photography, how do you earn money from it, and everything. And I won't go brief or deep into it about the careers in wildlife photography, but I'll just touch upon it. So let's get started. So what is wildlife photography? As I again told you, a lot of people have lot of conception about photography. A lot of people have different perception about wildlife photography. So if does anyone wants to share their experience or just want to say what is wildlife photography for them? Anybody?
Like explore the unknown, sir. The world doesn't see what the real wildlife is.
Yeah. Closest answer. And my answer was much worse than this when a lecturer of me asked this, saying, what is wildlife photography? So I just told him wildlife photography is something where you show the wild, where you show them in a much beautiful manner and visually aided pictures. And he told me something, and even I learned a lot of things after that. Wildlife photography is something. See, animals are all around us. Okay, you just go to a zoo, you see a tiger, you see a lion, you see what not. It's everything is there. But where the wildlife photography comes in, there are two things. One, to show what has not been seen. So what you see in zoo is 0.5% of animal behavior or animals territory or whatever it is. And then the wildlife photography comes in. So you just go into their field, go into wild, and shoot something which is easily not seen or you can't easily see in daily life. And also a part where you come as a conservator of forests. A lot of people, a lot of photographers become conservator of forests, and a lot of people becomes a lot of people start awareness about wildlife, because once they get into wildlife photography, once they're close to wildlife. So it's again, I'll dig deeper into this later on. So coming into wildlife photography, it's not just mean, okay, mujhe travel karna hai, I just want to travel around, I just want to travel the country, I just want to travel the world and see the most beautiful species ever. I just want to shoot them in the harsh conditions. I just want to get the great pictures. Yes, all of that matters. But once you're connected with wildlife photography, your whole perception changes about wildlife photography and what you're going to do. So it's the focus will shift completely from just photography related, and it will always again turn into something else when you evolve with the wildlife photography. So there is a lot in the room for wildlife photography. So I would once you guys just get in touch with wildlife photography, once you guys start wildlife photography, then you guys will understand what is wildlife photography for you. So because see, when it comes to fashion, everybody has something. Everybody has a different conception. A lot of people want to do Indian, a lot of people want to do Western, a lot of people just want to do fine arts, a lot of people want to do whatnot, a lot of things. But when it comes to photography, everything is collectively one. It's just wild, right? And one thing about photography is why this genre is like completely different from all other. The only reason is you have no control over it. You might have the gears, what you want. You might have the lens, what you want. You might have the money to travel. You might be at the right place, national parks, tiger reserves, whatnot. But it is completely out of your control. Because see, when it comes to fashion, you know what's happening. You set the lights, you get the models, you get the makeup artist, you prepare a whole concept note, you prepare the whole concept, you have the idealization, and you have the lights, you have everything, and you have the time majorly to set everything apart and just see, click some pictures, trial and error just to get that final shot. Then you understand, okay, this is how, this is the lighting should be, this is how the makeup should be, this is where I have to set my lights, this is the exposure I want to use, this is the focus I want to use. Even on the lens, you have the all control over it. But again, go to any other genre for such matters, say sports photography. Sports photography is one of the, again, hardest photographies. But again, you have some control over it, because you know where are the tracks, you know where the car is coming from, or the bike is coming from, or the cyclist is coming from, or the where the batsman is going to play. So in sports photography, you again have, you can predict few things, because there is certain things which will like go like that only. So but when it comes to wildlife photography, you have no idea at all. You might be in a wildlife tiger reserve or a national park with your gear. Just imagine that is the best gear. Again, gears doesn't matter, but just imagine you have the best gear and you're in a national wildlife sanctuary, or a tiger reserve sanctuary, whatever it is, and you just sit there for whole day, and I promise you might not even get a single shot of a tiger, or not even a bird sometimes. So a lot of people call this as wildlife is a very for doing wildlife photography, you have to be very lucky. And yes, some factors do matter, but again, down the lane in a couple of years, if you continue to do wildlife photography, then you'll understand luck doesn't play a huge role here. It's just your mindset, it's just your planning what goes into it. So yes, for every photography genre, we do planning, right? For fashion, we do planning. For products, we do planning. For fine art, we do it. For wedding photography, there is planning. Even though people are not in your control, the rituals will be going on, but you can just guide them, like, okay, can you do this again, can you just do something like this. But at the end of the day, when it comes to wildlife photography, you have no control. But once you involve with wildlife photography and you plan your things accordingly, you know, because there are tiger hunters, like where tiger trackers, where they just track tigers, they know where the tiger is traveling to. And coming on to big cats, it's a whole different thing. So where you will succeed in wildlife photography is where you understand wildlife. It's not just not about clicking photographs. It's not just about posting it on Instagram, getting the likes, getting the followers or something like that. Even to click a very good picture in wildlife photography, you need to have a huge knowledge. Say you might be in a safari and the alarm calls are going on in the forest, and you don't know where the alarm calls are coming from. Is it tiger or is it something else? Is this a big predator or whatnot? But if you are in wildlife, if you pursue wildlife photography for a couple of years, then you'll understand, okay, alarm calls are there is something going on. You might even know what is it, tiger or lion or whatever it is. You might even know, okay, it's a tiger. How the tiger is going to pass? So is it going to pass from right to left or left to right, or is just going to go deep inside the forest, or is just going to just stay there and rest? So those are the factors which play a huge role. So when you understand these factors, say for amateur photographer, amateur wildlife photographer who doesn't know anything at all about alarm calls or something like this, so he just goes there are alarm calls coming, he doesn't do anything. He's like, okay, kabhi na kabhi tiger aayega hi bhag, let's wait. He'll just sit there, wait for that moment, and when the tiger comes, that is when he starts setting his lens, focus and exposure and everything. But if you have the knowledge about wildlife and you can predict what is going to happen, so you might even predict a couple of things. It's not 100% spot on that this is going to happen. Definitely it's wildlife, it's completely unpredictable. But once if you're there, and if you can predict a couple of things, you can definitely predict 2-3 things. One, either it will pass from right to left or left to right, or it's going to go deep inside, or it's going to just don't cross the road, it's just going to walk by the road and it's just going to move. So if that happens, if you can predict what's going to happen, then you're well prepared. Then you know what lens to use, then you know what is the exposure I should be keeping, because you'll always have this camera ready with you and you know what to do, right? You know, okay, if this is going to pass from this to this side, okay, this is what my shot would be, this is how I would design it. And definitely 99% of the times you might miss it, because wildlife is completely unpredictable, again, as I said. But if you have that knowledge, at least if 1% you can predict and predict it, and you can be prepared for that 1%, you are gonna get a great chance. See, again, at the end of the day, it's just not you who's gonna go to national park. It's just not you who's a wildlife photographer, right? There are hundreds of people, there are thousands of people, and in India now, everybody who owns a DSLR, good DSLR, they think they are a very good photographer, professional photographers per se. So there are two things. One is photographer. There is one more thing which is called professional photography. So there are two different things, and each can't match. Professional photography is completely different, and a lot of people can't do it, can't pursue it actually. So yeah, see, you're in a national park or a tiger reserve, and there is a safari. There are like 4-5 gypsies going on, and there are 20-30 wildlife photographers, and there is a tiger. You're clicking those photos. Just sit back and listen what the others are doing. So you can just hear those shutters, right? So everybody is clicking. So everybody's in the same gypsy, everybody's in the same condition. There's no lighting change. Yeah, exposures might change or something like that. But at the end of the day, most of you will have the similar images, right? But what makes you different is understanding wildlife, but again, playing with it. Playing with it means the composition, the lighting, the exposure, the framing, and the story what you want to put out. It's always about story, okay? Because just one photograph can just say a story about 1,000 words, right? There are a couple of photographs in the slide where I'll share, and you guys will understand what I'm talking about. So yes, so what are you going to do different than others? That is what is the X factor. So if you're not going to do different, if you're not going to do something else what other people are not doing, then you're just one of the herd. Why would someone come and give it to you a wildlife like project saying, okay, do something like this for me? If you're doing the same thing, if there are 10 more people doing the same thing, they'll definitely go by the budget. Whoever is doing for cheaper price, they'll go it. But if you're doing completely different, even though being in the same situation, even though being in the same Jeep, and your pictures stand out, that is when you get the work. That is when you stand out. That is when you get that content like, okay, I did something right? So let's just go ahead and see. So what does it take? Everybody thinks I'm a good photographer. Obviously, if you own a camera, first of all, spending so much of money, thousands of money, and you will definitely feel that you're a good photographer at the end of the day. And I don't doubt that everybody is a good photographer. Everybody has that eye. Everybody has something or the other, much more than just passion to pursue photography. Okay, but according to me, there are 3 P's which play a very major role. One is passion, practice, persistence. So a lot of people think like, okay, for this sport will be suited for sports. This sport will suit for preparing for any exams or something like that. But why for wildlife photography? See, whatever you do is a process in your life. Whatever you do in your life is a complete process. So be it a wildlife photography, be it photography or whatever it is, it's just a process. What you learn, everybody just can't be a pro in just one day, right? It takes a lot of time for them. So it takes a lot of time for anybody for that matter, be it a dancer or be it a singer. They take years to pursue that and become a pro at it. So coming on to the wildlife photography, what does it take? According to me, it's passion. So it's just not passion about traveling, and it's not just passion about wildlife, or it's just not a passion about, okay, mujhe travel karna hai and click pictures and I get rich. Passion is much more than what you think, right? So when it comes to wildlife photography, passion plays a very major role. Especially you should have that love towards wildlife. You should know what is wildlife is. You should know what am I going to do. So before pursuing any genre of photography, you should know, okay, what am I going to do in the next 10 years, next 5 years? So if I pursue wildlife photography, should I be doing this? What is my future plans in next 5 years? So if you have those future plans and if you have that confidence, okay, even if in the next 5 years, 10 years, even if everything goes down or up, I will definitely stay in this genre and I'll make something out of it, then that is called passion for you. Passion has a different perception, different answers for everybody. But for me, that is what it means. If you have that confidence key with this thing, I can do something in my life, that is where passion comes in. After that, you have the passion. Okay, you know what to do. You know you're confident enough that you want to do something in your life. I have a passion towards wildlife photography. Then what to do? Practice. Practice is very, 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 very important. Be it a singer, be it a dancer, as I was already telling you guys. Why practice is important? Because nobody is just perfect, right? So I'll just share a small story which I heard. So this is actually an experiment. I just don't recall the name. So there's one professor who comes into a room and he splits one classroom into two different groups. So 15 people and the 15 people. So there are 30 people, 15, 15. There are two groups. And what he does is he just gives them a task to make a pot. He just gives them the same equipments and he gives two tasks to two different groups. So one group, he just says, okay, this is your picture. This is the pot I want. And I'm giving you 15 days to make it. And I just want a one perfect pot. Just do it. And I'm not going to give you time constraints or whatever it is. Just take your time. Take 15 days. At the end of the 15th day, give me one pot, which is beautiful and which is perfect. And this group starts working on it. And the other hand, he goes to other group and he says, I don't care about the perfect pot, but I just need a lot of pots. I just need quantity. So just do create how many pots you can create. Just keep going on. At the 15th day, I'll just come and see the quality and I'll just see how many pots you guys have just created. And the students just go on. After the 15th day, that professor again comes back and he just sees, he just picks up the last pot from the second group who was doing quantity than the quality. And he picks up the other pot also who are just working on one pot. So he just puts them together. And the second group, which is doing quantity, has the best pot. Why? Because these people just stuck on one thing, thinking about or making it perfect. They just worked on it a lot. They were trials and errors, but they just worked on one thing, and they just took whole 15 days and they just created one pot. Fair enough, that's good. On the other hand, these people, they didn't even thought about, okay, perfect banana hai, there is only one chance we got. No, they just had the quantity in mind. So they just started doing it. Daily they are doing it 15, 20, 15, 20, 15, 50. At the end of the 10th day, they started making the perfect pot. And say even on the 13th day or 14th day, they make the perfect pot. At the end of the 15th day, they have at least 5 to 10 perfect pots. On the other hand, where the other team just has one. So this is the power of practice, because these people kept on doing it, and they knew what is going wrong. Okay, hum to bana hi rahe hai, let's make it good, na? Let's make it nice. So that is when the practice plays a major role, because they thought that, okay, we are anyway doing the quantity, let's even focus on quality. Because once you start doing something in a repetitive manner, and if you're like giving your focus onto it, then definitely it's going to help you. So this is one story where I learned practice plays a major role. It's not just a smart work always. Yes, smart work is very, very, very important. But that at the end of the day, it's also hard work. You might be smart, but you just might think that, okay, I'll just do this 10 hours work in just 2 hours and I'll just finish it off. But on the other hand, if you're doing hard work, the same person will definitely have the smart work. He can easily do that same work in 2 hours. But what is he going to do? He's going to work hard on that. He's going to improvise himself. He's going to put more hours into it. Probably say from 2, he puts 8 hours. So that 8 hours will definitely pay him something back, because he's put up more efforts than the smart work, right? So hard work plays major role here again. Persistence. I am not going to emphasize more on persistence, because once you have the passion and practice, persistence comes automatically. Because at the back of your mind, you think, okay, I've done so much. I have so much interest on this thing. I have done so much of practice. And what am I going to do? You're not going to give up, right? So after you've put in so many work hours, you've put in so much of your effort, staying away from family, doing whatnot, then the persistence obviously kicks in. And it's just that you shouldn't lose that persistence for the matter of fact, okay, I went on a wildlife trip for like 2 months. I didn't get even a proper one good shot. I didn't even got one big cat or something like that. Doesn't matter. Nobody is perfect and everything can't be right at one moment. It takes time for everything. It takes time. Even say the greatest monuments took time. We just see them today. We see, okay, great, amazing. This is just like out of this world. But no, those took time, right? Everything takes time. So you need to understand what are you going to do, how are you going to do it. So how to start? See, there are a lot of videos, a lot of tutorials in YouTube regarding what is the how to start wildlife photography, what should be the gears I should choose, how to edit wildlife photography. So there are a lot of things, but I'm not going to go deep into it because you guys know much better than the equipments, because the industry is booming, the lot of technology is coming in, the mirrorlesses are there, the extenders are there, the converters are there, what lens to use. Obviously, when it comes to wildlife photography, there are tele lenses, but it's also sometimes macro lenses to capture snakes, insects, and a lot of things. But I'm not going to go deep into the equipments list. But yeah, how to start
Gagan,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but can you make the slideshow on a full screen?
Yeah. It's just not happening for mine. Just let me just. Is it working?
Yeah. It's fine. Perfect.
So
Thank you.
how to start? So my simple funda is just the best way to get things done is just to simply begin, right? So when it comes to wildlife photography, a lot of them have this perception key. Okay, wildlife photography, that you have to go to a national park, you have to go into a gypsy, you have to have this equipments, and you have to have the time and like money to do it. Obviously, yes, that is what wildlife photography is. At the end of the day, it's one of the most expensive hobbies in the world. But how to start? If you're a amateur, if you just have the passion towards wildlife photography, if you want to explore it, and if you want to try something out of it, how to start? Just start from the basics. Just start from your home. So there is I was with one of my lecturers, and we were having this conversation, and we were just sorting my pictures, my best pictures. So he said he just saw a lot of cats and a lot of monkeys, and those were my early stage of pictures where I shot when I had the camera. So initially, when you have the camera, you feel like shooting whatever you see. So that is what even I did. So he saw these, and he created this folder called urban wildness. Okay, then I didn't had this idea, and he said, see, even this is wildlife, right? This is also wild, this is also animals. So it's not just, yeah, they are just around us. That doesn't mean that this is not wildlife, this doesn't belong to us. This is wildlife, urban wildlife. So that is where things kicked in. That is where I started doing it more. Again, the last slide comes in practice. So if you want to pursue wildlife photography, obviously you're a student or someone, and you don't have money to put into this travel to national parks or tiger reserves and stay there for a couple of weeks or a couple of days and go into the forest safaris and take those expensive like even the rent out those expensive equipments, right? To do that, even if you do that, if you just go there and start shooting, you won't get the best pictures because you have no idea what is wildlife photography is. How are you going to go with it? So for me, wildlife photography needs very, very, very one important thing, that is patience. Practice we all do, but patience is very, very, very important in wildlife photography. Why? I'll just go ahead and with the next slides and I'll explain. So when it comes to urban wildlife, what you will learn from it will obviously it'll kick in your skills. You will again learn something new. You know how to how to set the exposure. You know how to move your camera. You know how to get the things done. Everything is there. But again, what it will teach you is it will teach you the passion. It will teach you the patience, how patient you have to be. Say for this matter, for this image, it is one of my favorite image and a lot of people have liked it. I don't know why. So I feel like this is not one of the best urban wildlife images because I don't know why it doesn't feel like this is the best, because I don't think I've just clicked the best image of my life yet. Everybody feels that way. But yeah, going forward. So I went to my hometown and I just heard some noise and there were some children playing and they said, like, there are cats here. And I was like, great. I just had a camera. So I just went and I started clicking pictures. And those were the initial stage of photography days where I wanted to be a travel and wildlife photographer, but I didn't have the funds. I didn't have the equipment. So I had 700D with 55-250, which is a kit lens f4, obviously. So what I started doing is I just started clicking. So that is what you do, right? Whatever you see a good, interesting subject, you started clicking. So this is what I got out of that. So then after this, So I got this image. So I started spending more time there. I started learning what is their behavior is, how they move, what they do, and what time they come out, what time they go in. So what scares them? Should I just be that aggressive and click those pictures, or just I just submit myself, just stay back, just wait there with patience, just wait for some time and then click these pictures. So that is what helped me. I just waited there for long hours. Then this cat comes and I just had this picture, and you see the details in the eyes, right? It's not just about showing the wild and showing that rich things, it's also the tiny things which matter. Even that eyes, that details, it might be not the sharpest or the best detailed image, but yeah, it does serve something. It does tell you a story, right? So that is how it starts. If you're someone who wants to start wildlife photography, even if you have funds, even if you have equipments, I would suggest you to start with urban wildlife, because that will give you a whole different perception, because you're going to just shoot one animal over and over and over again. What are you going to do? It will improve your skills, it will improve your framing, it will improve your exposure knowledge, and it will improve your patience. So that is what is going to happen then. So again, I just took this picture, and I feel, and a lot of people do feel, that this picture has a story out of itself. So you see, there is this one thing in the foreground which is focused, this cat just simply sitting there. Okay, what am I going to do now? My friends are just like ran away, and there are two more cats in the back, and they're just looking at him. Okay, oh, what is he going to do? How is he going to come back? Because I was just walking by and I just saw this, and I had the camera in my hand, and I just went in there aggressively, and two of the cats just ran away, and that one just got stuck there, and it didn't knew what to do. And I just clicked this picture, and it does serve a like story, right? Even if I don't tell you the story, people would understand. Okay, two cats just ran away, and this is just like staying there and thinking what to do. And this helps you in wildlife again, because as I told you, there will be a lot of photographers in your gypsy, a lot of photographers around you in wildlife who will be clicking. How you can make a photograph different? Clicking, and through that serving a story, where your photographs can serve a story, tell a story. That is where you think you're doing a good job. You stand out from others. That is what is going to happen. Then again, so just I was just traveling around nearby my city, outside my city. So I just found these two monkeys, and I just shot it. It was early morning, obviously, but again, the way I edited it, color image would not have served the purpose, obviously. Then later on, I just did some post processing, nothing much. I just turned it to black and white. This is the image you got, and these are my early stage images. Like, matlab, I shot it from 700D. And sometimes what happens is, looking at the details or looking at the image, say if someone just randomly shows you this, you definitely can't predict the equipments, because we always think, right, majestic, good, deep photos means they are shot with some good equipment, they are shot with some good experience photographer. That is not the case. So even equipments doesn't matter. Equipments matters when you want certain things like details, you want colors, you want a lot of things in place, as you know. But when you're just clicking, when you're at your early stage and you're just practicing, these things doesn't matter. What matters is to improve your skills. That is what you're going to do. And the next photo is much funnier. See this. I was just traveling around, I just shot this, and a lot of people like this. So there are hundreds of monkey images, right? Like, every photographer definitely has at least 10 images in their folder jahan pe monkey hai. They know that is there. Everybody has it. I can give it to you in writing that everybody shot monkeys. That is where we are surrounded with in India. But again, what is going to make the difference? So I just waited for that right moment. I was just waiting, and it was just playing around, and I just shot this. Obviously, it's not giving the high five. It's not just saying, yo, bro. But that moment, you just have to be patient enough and just click, and you get that moment, right? Again, this is one of my early photos when I just took a camera and I just went to Nandi Hills, and I was just shooting around, and I just had this picture. Not obviously the best picture, I would say. It's not even edited. It's just a raw out of camera. But it does have a story. I might think about a different story with this, and a lot of people might definitely think a different story with this image, right? So there are a lot of emotions. See, even if you just look into this photograph in terms of technicalities, so rule of third, it does come there. I don't need to put rule of thirds for you guys to explain where does the intersection point comes, obviously. But you see, there is a rule of third, and that is where the monkey lands, and then that image takes you inside. So when you just look at this image, that is where that alpha monkey is there, and you just look at that, and then your eyes move to those other two monkeys, like mother and the child, right? And they're both looking at him, and he's not looking at them back, and he's just looking down and he's just walking. And see that eye contact where you can just feel that connection, right? So that is where you should improve your skills, creating stories out of it. Even it's a simple thing, even this can be even your outside your home, right? But just a shot created a story out of it. Yes, it might not be a best photograph, but what did you learn? You learned something new from it. That is what matters at the end of the day. So even if you don't learn something, and if you just go into the best wildlife parks in the world, and if you can't shoot and if you can't capture this story out of it, no use, man. Start from the basics. Start from the urban wildlife. Just have this my idea key, okay, whatever it is, I'm gonna start shooting where I can serve a story, where I can have a story in my photograph. So if you do that, then it will definitely help you in the long run. Where you go to wildlife photography, you don't have to even think about it. Okay, what can I do different here? What can I? How can I be different from others who are already next to me and having the same angle of point of view, and they're also clicking the same image? You just know what to do. You just know how to frame yourself. You just know how to frame your shot. You just know what the exposure you're going to use. You just know what you want to do. Then learn and understand. So yeah, you've practiced a lot of urban wildlife, and you know, okay, you have this confidence key, okay, I can build a story out of it now. Then what comes in? Then you obviously definitely start moving to near zoos and national parks or tiger reserves. So slowly that happens, but eventually that should be the thing where you want to do it. Because if you want to do wildlife photography, you just can't stick at home and say, okay, main kar lunga anytime. So you start doing it, right? You start traveling, you start shooting it. So what happens is learning and understanding is very, very, very important here. So we just know like 10% of wildlife now. We just know like 5% of how wildlife reacts, how wildlife works. And trust me, go to any wildlife photographer or any wildlife conservation specialist or anybody or such for such matter, and just ask them what happens in wildlife in night. A lot of them don't have the answer. A lot of them don't have the answer because we don't know what happens in the wild in the night. So that is how backward we are. We don't have the complete knowledge about wildlife photography. We don't, not even photography, we don't even have the complete knowledge about wildlife. We don't even recognize a lot of species. Yeah, even though a lot of species are about to go to extinct now, but we still don't know a lot of species. We don't know how they react. We don't know how it works. We don't know what is the lifestyle. So what happens is if you start exploring it, if you start learning it, if you start understanding it, then it will help your photography skills also. Also, it will help you evolve as a person because you know what to expect, you know what to do, you know what not to do. Say if there is a bird and you know what is this bird is going to do, and if you know about that bird, then you can just predict your shots. As I already told you in terms of tiger, you can just predict your shots and you'll be ready there. Okay, this is what is going to happen in the next 5 to 10 minutes. I'm going to click this shot and this will be my final shot. So if that happens with your learnings, that happens with your understandings. So being wildlife photographer, we think we should spend a lot of time in wild, we should spend a lot of time in the field, but no, it's not only that case. So before you go anywhere, before you travel anywhere, it just takes a lot of time for you to sit, prepare. Not even just to prepare your plan, where I go, where will I stay, what will I eat? No, it just takes lot of understandings. You should sit and you should understand. Say if you're going to a tiger reserve. Last time I went to Panna Tiger Reserve. So I just sat and I just researched about Panna Tiger Reserve, what happened. Then I heard this great, amazing story about Panna Tiger Reserve where we repopulated the tigers. Panna Tiger Reserve it's a legend story now, because that is what they did. All the tigers in Panna Tiger Reserve were extinct. They bought 3 different tigers there, and they started the population there. And now Panna Tiger Reserve is one of the richest tiger reserves in India. Yeah, Bandhavgarh and other things are there, but again, out of nowhere, it didn't had anything. The tigers were extinct there, but again, they did something. The wildlife department did something. Then the whole story began. So what will help you is, it will just inspire you, it will just motivate you just before you go. So if I had gone to Panna Tiger Reserve without knowing this backstory of Panna Tiger Reserve, I would have thought like, okay, this is just normal thing. This is just a normal tiger reserve, and what I can do, I'll just shoot and I'll leave. But if you know the backstory, you'll just try to stay there. You'll just to try to wander around. You'll just to try to understand, okay, what took place where, what happened. So that is what is going to happen if you know the backstory out of it. So definitely, whenever you're traveling, try to learn and understand what are you going to do, where are you going to do, and what is going to be your plan of action, because that is what will help you get the best pictures, right? If you don't have any plan of action, if you don't have anything, if you don't even know what is Panna Tiger Reserve is, okay, I just know I have to book my tickets to Panna Tiger Reserve, I just go there and shoot. No, that's not how it's going to help. Always just also, this thing happens, if you're traveling somewhere, say again Panna Tiger Reserve, just go and search on Google of Panna Tiger Reserve images, and you see this beautiful images of photographers which are there of tiger doing a lot of activities and a lot of stories and the best pictures, obviously. And you feel like, okay, what am I going to do now? You feel like, okay, I don't think I'm going to get these beautiful pictures. You just take a step back, and that is good. It's not always good to be very confident enough, okay, I will go and I'll get the best pictures. No, take a step back always. Just think, okay, if they have shot this, then there is a lot of hard work went on to this picture. They would have definitely stayed for more than a week or something like that. They would have waited for this right moment. Then this picture has come. It's easy to just look at an image and just say, okay, just have that wow moment. But if you know the backstory, then it's completely different. It will take a toll on them to get this picture done, right? So learning and understanding even before going to shoot is very important for you guys. So for this matter, these are one of my early pictures, and I'm just not going to talk a lot into this. These are just the pictures I shot with. So this is Asian bee eater again. So see a difference between this picture and the other picture I'll show. This picture has the color, this picture has the contrast, this picture has the line, this picture has the rule of third and everything, and it's a good picture. But it's a normal picture. A lot of people can shoot it. And it comes to this picture. So this is one of the hardest shots for me to get it, because you see the bird, right? It's black and it's gray, and it's harsh the sunlight, right? And there is no details in the background. There are no clouds or something like that. It's just like very sunny day, and you have to click this shot. And trust me, being a photographer, a lot of you guys can easily relate to it. Getting the exposure right for this will kill you, right? Sometimes we might overexpose it where we just like burn the background out. Sometimes we underexpose it where you can't get the details of the bird, eye, and the face and the fur, everything. And especially the texture the wood has, even the focus plays a major role. A lot of times you might have done it, and probably you might have to go back and check in your other birding images. Sometimes what tend to happen is we tend to focus on the branch. It is obviously a mistake. Nobody does it intentionally. Okay, मुझे bird नहीं, मुझे branch focus करना है. But नहीं, that happens with a mistake, and you have to learn from it. And before taking the shot, there would have been 10-15 shots where I would have missed exposure, where I have missed the composition, where I would have just missed the focus completely, where I would have just completely focused on that branch the bird is sitting on. That is what happens, and that is what you will learn if you keep shooting it. So if you keep shooting it, if you keep shooting in harsh conditions where it challenges you, see, always come out of your comfort zone. Okay, this is not just for wildlife photography. This is for everything in your life. So be it fashion or be it product or something like that, always come out of your comfort zone. Say for fashion, So there was one of my friend, and we were shooting for a project, and he's a good photographer at the end of the day, but he has this problem with communicating with ladies. Okay, he just can't be openly just say, okay, let's get a pose like this, let's get a pose like this. He's not that confident enough, and that cost him something. That cost him the pictures. And he shot something. It was 2 days shoot actually. He shot. He's a good photographer, but he shot a lot of things where he couldn't give the instruction, and he didn't get the best pictures out of it. He went back. He just looked at those, and he just analyzed himself. Okay, what went wrong? I would have told her to do something like this, and she would have done this, and I would have got the best shot. The next day, he came back and he did it. He gave the right instructions. He came out of his comfort zone. His comfort zone was like not to give instructions, stay there, get what, shoot whatever you're gonna get. But no, he came out of his comfort zone and he got the best pictures. So that is what happens if you come out of your comfort zone. It will definitely help you to get the best pictures. Again, this is called Indian Pitta, and if there is any Telugu audience in the crowd, then they'll be laughing at this. But yeah, so this image again, colors, composition, and the lights and the shadows, right? This was taken in Panna Tiger Reserve a couple of weeks back. So again, what happens? So a lot of you might heard about negative space. A lot of you people are learning about negative space here. So what happens? You see a negative space in this image, and I'm pretty sure half of you didn't even notice until I mentioned this. There is a huge negative space here, but it still makes this image good, right? Why? Because the composition, where the eyes flow, because the colors pop out. Yes, on the other side it's bright, but then there is a decrease. Like this thing happens, then there is this bird. So where your eyes will go, your eyes will definitely go to the bird, and it'll try to just stay there for some time, because there's nothing else. There's nothing else which can distract it. See, having two different things, two bad things in an image is very, very bad. One is negative space, which already this image has. Other than that, disturbances. If it has any if it had any disturbance behind it, if there was a tree which is closer by where it would have not completely gone into depth of field, it would have definitely created a distraction where your eyes would have just floating around. Yes, it would have gone to that bird. Again, it would have been floating around in the image, right? Even though it has a negative space, but this image will definitely stand out because there is no distraction. Everything is blown out, and there's only one completely focused subject, that is the bird. And the lights and the shadows and the colors play a major role here again. So that is what happens. So when you click this image, definitely you won't get this beautiful, colorful image out of camera. You have to sit and work on the post processing. Again, when it comes to post processing, there are a lot of things I'll explain in the later slides. But when it comes to post processing, you have to be very, 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 very in control. You have to be in control. Just because you have this beautiful bird, just because it has rich colors, just because it has given you a good pose, and the eyeball is also, it has a catch like in his eyes, doesn't mean you're going to do whatever you want to do in the post. You have to be patient enough. You have to have those control in the editing desk so that the best out of this image comes out. Just a second. So again, a picture I shot like a couple of weeks back. Not the best one, I would say, but yeah, it just served the purpose. What I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to prove here is the angle you shot. Always wildlife photography, there is that you're in a gypsy, obviously you can't get down, you have to be like going from there, but you can experiment with it, right? You can just sit down, put your camera out in the down, just have your viewfinder out, try to get that balance and stiffness in your hand, and you click this picture, and it gives you a different angle altogether. See, there is this ground which is blown out, which is blurred, and then the subjects come, right? So what happens is, even the angles, even your perception matters. Obviously, these are the simple things. This will happen eventually when you start practicing it more, because you'll see a very good subject, you'll see a very good sighting in front of your eyes, and if you want to capture it, and at the end of the day you can't capture it, even if you click, you're not completely content with it, if you're not completely happy with it. definitely this happened with everybody, every one of us, that we click something, we feel like, okay, I've done something good, I've got some good shots, go back to the editing desk, sit there, and you feel like, okay, what the hell I did, I would have shot this much better. What was I thinking? That happens with everybody. That's a human nature, but that doesn't mean you were wrong. Yeah, obviously you would have definitely stayed there for some more time, experimented more. Like as I told you, stick out that camera out of that gypsy, put it down, have this just a viewfinder to just look at the image, have this right exposure and click it. This that would have been given you this shot. Again, this shot, it doesn't just let you just wander your eyes wherever you are. Even it just goes to these bunch of white spotted deers, then it will go back to the other two, then again it will come back, because there is nothing else. Even there is a background, there is a lot of distraction in the background. You see, there's a lot of trees and there are a lot of things fallen in, which is gone, which is blurred out. But again, those feel like distraction for a lot of people. Even I feel that is a distraction. I feel this is not one of my best shots. Obviously it is not. What why this image is bit better than the other images are, I tried something new. I tried a different angle for this image, where all my colleagues, all my friends were on gypsy, standing on it, having this 30-degree, 45-degree angle and shooting it. I, on the other hand, took a different approach and shot it. So this will help you a lot. Always think about things in a different manner. Always go about it with a different approach. As I told you, there are a lot of people who are doing this, but again, what are you going to do which will make the picture stand out? One of the images, gray langurs. So this image is again very close to me, and a lot of people like this image. There is nothing much. There is not a huge wildlife rich image. It's just a perception, right? It's just that one body and there are two heads and two different angles they're looking at. One is looking almost down and one is looking at up. So what happens, such images, even if the image is not good, even if the background is not good, even if you don't have a great gear, such movements will make the image stand out. You see even the details on the monkey, the hair, right? It's there. The hands, he's putting it like this. He's looking at something, he's observing something. On the other hand, which is one more monkey which is behind him, it is also observing something. A lot of people might just got confused looking at this first like image in the first second. It takes half a second or 1 second for them to realize, okay, there's just two different monkeys. Or which is the monkey which is facing right, or which is the monkey which is facing left. So simple things, waiting for that right moment. The same image I would have shot from the different angle, gone like 10 meters to the right or 10 meters to the left, I wouldn't have got this shot. I just took a right place, right? I just chose a right spot and I shot this and I got this image. Right? It's not about getting the best image. It's about what are you learning from it. Say in the same spot, if there were two tigers, this image would have been went viral. Obviously, right? Monkeys, like, yeah. But if the same thing with tigers, and if you're lucky enough to get that shot, it would have definitely went viral, because that is one of kind of shots that will definitely help you to gain the like audience, gain the followers. At the end of the day, that is what matters to a lot of them. Portraits. So I do a lot of animal portraits, and these are one of my best portraits. So big cats, again, what is a very important factor in portraits for me and for a lot of photographers? It's the eyes, it's the eye contact. So even if the animal is looking at you directly, and if it doesn't have eye contact with your lens, then gone. That is not a best portrait. So I'll just let you guys just look at these images for a second or something like that. Then you guys can just see what goes on into a portrait. Just have a look at this image and I'll tell you what. Both the images. See, one tip I would like to give, it works for me, but it might not work for everyone, is when you see a portrait or when you shoot a portrait, and if it's in your editing desk and if you're done with it, export it and just put it on a full screen and just look at it for 5 minutes or 2 minutes. And if you feel that image is moving, that means you're bang on, you're spot on. You got your best shot. And if you feel even after looking at it for 5 minutes, it's doing nothing, then okay, there might be some slight mistake you might have done, which has caused you this. Portraits always connects with people. Eyes connect with people, right? Be it animals, be it people, right? So portraits are very, very important, and eyes plays very major role. So there is one color image, there is one black and white. You might have asked me why. On the other hand, I was very lucky enough to get this lion looking at straight at my camera with that anger, with that poise it has. But again, I was not lucky with the lighting. I was not lucky with the environment I was shooting. There were a lot of disturbances. There were very harsh light, and with that, I couldn't get the colors pop out just like I got it from the tiger. Right? So I couldn't do it. So what I can do, I can't just scrap that image out. So you have an image which is very good. A lot of people liked it. This is one of the images which got exhibited in Natwin International Wildlife Exhibition for me. But at first instinct was, okay, this image is not going to work out because it doesn't have colors. It's not popping out. It doesn't have the right exposure is right, but it doesn't give out that feel like this tiger is giving out. Everything is well lit. There is no harsh light. There's no shadows. There's nothing. Everything is well lit and you can connect to it. On the other hand, I don't have it, but I have a very good portrait shot. What can I do? Sit on the editing desk and try to improvise. There is no manipulation here. Okay. So there are a lot of people do something called as manipulation, which is good in terms of getting the viewers for social media for some time. But again, you should try that out in next 5-10 years when you have the lot of raw images which can help you, which can just like speak for your work. Okay. That you can do the manipulation, but initially I'll tell you for the first 10 years, don't do any manipulation to your images. Like moving things, creating stuff, like what we do in the retouching for models in fashion photography. Don't do such things in wildlife, because if you do it, you might have the best picture. People might see, okay, great man, you got a great picture and we really liked it. But again, deep down, you know that this is not what is straight out of camera. If you feel there is a picture which is straight out of camera, and if it contents you, if it satisfies you, that means you're going on in the right track. But if you have a good image, but to get that good image to a better or a best image, you have to do some manipulation. That means you're lacking some skills. That means somewhere you have to take a step back, sit and analyze that picture. Okay, what went wrong? For me, yes, obviously the situation went wrong, which was not in my control. And I don't want to do manipulation. So what I did, I just converted it to black and white. And yes, I got a good image. It's not perhaps the best image, but I got a good image which I was about to scrap, right? So that is what happens when you just sit and analyze and take a look at those images. So both these images, both the portraits. So whenever you're trying for the animal portraits, make sure there is this eye contact and your focus is on eyes. This is a very, very, very important thing, that make sure the focus is on eyes always, because that is what is going to make your portrait stand out. Okay. Okay, enough of my images. I'll just talk about some of my favorite photographers. Mithun. So he's a big cat specialist, okay, and he shoots a lot of photos in Kabini, and you might have definitely seen a lot of his Black Panther images and tiger images, and you should definitely go out and check out his images. You might feel that there is some editing is happening and colors have been popped out or something like that, but again, that was possible because he has the image, right? If you don't have an image, if you don't have a right shot, do whatever you with it, it doesn't pop out. But if you have a very good image and you do a slight color changes or something like that, it will definitely pop out. Mithun is one of the youngest and one of the brightest photographers I've ever seen. So these are his images. The other side, the tiger, which is walking and looking back, great shot, very nice early morning shot, and which is very, very good. Okay, a lot of people like that image. Even you can take that image, right? Obviously, whoever's sitting in that gypsy or who was present in that spot would have definitely got the same image, because that is how the things go, that is how the angles go, that is how you're going to shoot, that is how you're going to place the tiger. But coming on to the other picture, the tiger, trust me, only he would have got this shot. Whoever was present wouldn't have got this shot, because he was on the right spot and he had this perception key. Okay, and trust me, this tiger would have not looked at him exactly at this, like he would have been there, like waiting for this moment for 10-15 minutes, thinking or imagining or wishing or praying ki, okay, out of this hole, tiger would look at me and I'll have this shot. Definitely he would have been praying for the shot, and he would have been got it after 20-30 minutes, because these are one of the kind shots which you can't directly get. These kind of shots, on the other hand, you will definitely get if you spot a tiger which is early morning, and if there is very good depth of field, you can definitely get this shot. But on the other hand, what took place, the patience and the knowledge, right? The eye. So he was waiting for this moment, thinking ki tiger might look back at us because we are making some noise, because there is a gypsy. So you guys have seen the movie called Sherni, which is recently launched on Amazon. You guys should go and watch it out. That's a very good movie. And there is one line says ki, मैडम अगर हम फॉरेस्ट में आ रहे हैं तो हम शायद 99 आउट ऑफ 99 टाइम्स एक बार हम लोग टाइगर को देख सकते हैं, बट 100 आउट ऑफ 100 टाइम्स टाइगर को पता है कि हम लोग आ गए हैं. सो द tiger knows all the time that you're there. You might not even spot it 99% of the times. You just might spot it one times. But tiger knows 100 out of 100 times that you're there. And why would a tiger entertain himself, come out for you and pose for you to get an image? That doesn't make sense. So what are you going to do? You're just going to wait there. Just learn what a tiger does. What is its instincts? What does he do? How can I get this shot? That is how Mithun got these beautiful shots, right? One of the best shots. Again, look at these two shots. Normal shots, no special angle or something like that compared to the tiger shot. These images stand out. Why? Because it's showing the life. It is showing that moment which you can't directly just see anywhere or in the zoo, right? You see this light, on the other hand, on this first image, the eyes, the catch light, the light, the gradation, it's completely gradiating. This image is completely different. It pops out. And the colors, obviously, that does play a major role. On the other hand, the action. See, this one leopard is jumping and the other one is like doing something. That action makes this image pop out, obviously. Right? So these, you can't just get it out of it. Like you go to a tiger reserve or a national park, wherever you go, you just can't these get images in one day or 1 week or something like that. These images take time. And definitely, if I put a same amateur photographer in this spot and asked him to capture this moment, even if he was in the same gypsy as I was in the safari, he wouldn't have got this perfect shot. Because you know why? Because he wouldn't have guessed what this leopard is going to do. If it's going to jump, what should be my shutter speed? What should be my ISO? What should be my focus points? Where should be my focus points? So when I'm going to click this in picture, so am I going to just keep this shutter button and just keep it roll, go on? No, he wouldn't have known this. But Mithun knew it, on the other hand, because he was predicting it, because he had the knowledge, because he did the like pre-production. He just sat there and he understood, if this happens, what am I going to do? And he did it the right thing. That's where you can see the image. Black cats, Kavini, right? Trust me, I'm fan for these images, because obviously the exposure has to be spot on. Even you can't do anything in post-processing. You can just make it better, but you can't do anything. The exposure has to be spot on, and the exposure was spot on because he had the knowledge and he had the patience, he had the learnings from the other images, right? So getting this black out of this completely exposed background, and with the details, see the paw, you can see there is a detail. The tail, you can see there is details. On the head, you can see there is details. That happened because of the exact proper right exposure. Exposure is a very, very small thing, right? Everybody knows. Everybody shoots in manual. But getting it spot on takes you time. That is what he did, and he got the best pictures. One of my favorite photographers, Steve Winter. And I like him for one thing, where he shows the emotions amazing than any other photographers. There are a lot of great photographers, I completely agree. But the way Steve puts out those images, the emotions pop out. And I mean, it's outstanding, man. Definitely it comes with the age, definitely it comes with the experience, but there is something you can learn out of it. Okay, the next I just no need to say anything. The next photo will serve the purpose. Just look at this image. No need to say anything at all. Just look at this image and you'll have those emotions pop out from the eyes. Obviously, he would have just gone for a portrait, right? But he didn't. He chose to give the eyes a major spot in the frame where even your eyes just connect to it, and there is a conversation happening. There is always a conversation happening. See those eyes balls, spot on. There would have been definitely other pictures where it's looking right or the left or something like that, but the moment was spot on, and he was expecting it and he was waiting for that moment. That comes from the learning, that comes from the experience, that comes from the practice. Again, two different emotions, completely different situations, and you see what goes on what. I won't talk much about this, but I just enjoy you guys these images. Just look at it and you'll understand what am I talking about. Amazing, right? So you just can't put any photographer in this place and ask him to get these emotions out. It takes certain quality, it takes certain time to understand that, to get those images right. Again, one of those photos. Who would have thought about this thing? Everyone would have just gone for a telly, getting a best portrait or getting that majestic tiger shot. But he used a wide angle and he got this shot. Emotions, eye contact, the light. He was lucky enough, but yeah, again, the thought process of using a wide angle lens inside a safari jeep and getting this shot. So that is why he stands out, because he's doing something different from others. Be me in that place, I would have definitely gone for a telly, shooting the tiger, trying to get that one proper portrait, which would like make myself satisfied, make myself content. But no, he went for something else, which definitely, if you put a same portrait of this tiger and this image, 99% of people would definitely go for this image, because this is different. Portrait, they have seen it. They haven't seen it something like this. Right? So you might see that man is not in completely focus. He's not completely focused. The tiger is in focus, but it does serve a purpose. It does put out the expressions. You might say, okay, he's not in focus. That is a major miss. No, that doesn't matter. The whole idea, the whole concept of the image is so good, so diverse that people don't even think about the focus on that man. They'll just look at the story. They'll just look at the eye contact. Right? So coming on to, again, a lot of things, framing and editing. See, if we start talking about wildlife photography, it takes months and years and thousands of people, thousands of experts. I'm not the expert. There are hundreds of experts whom I look for them, and I just learn from them. And there are a lot of people like Steve, right? And just go online, just go on Instagram or any website, just go for Steve Winter photos, Mithun's photos, and there are Sudhir Shivaram sir, Rasika Ramswamy, Shaz Jung. Okay, these photographers, they stand out not because of their social media following. Obviously, everybody just opens this social media and say, "Whoa, okay, what kind of following they have? Great, man. Even I want such things." No, that following comes at a cost, right? They spent hundreds of days in forest, learning things, understanding things, adapting to a situation, and then getting the shots done. So comes to a framing. So this is one shot, and I'll just explain how can you take this shot in a different manner. That's what I was telling you. Everyone, almost 90% of people would have shot this image like this only, right? But you got one more shot out of the same situation. One more, out of the same situation, frame. One more frame out of the same situation. It's just zooming in, zooming out. It's not always zooming in, zooming out. It's also takes time to figure out where am I going to place my subject so that it will look good, where it won't be distracted, right? So this is just one example where out of one situation, how many photos you can get. Out of one situation, you could have got even 5 to 10. Probably I missed this because I was just trying to explain this, so I cropped this image and explaining to you guys. But if I was in that situation, which I didn't do, that is my bad. If I get a chance back again, I would like to definitely take a portrait of this small deer. Just a portrait with 600 mm or 800 mm. Just a portrait, looking at the straight camera, and it would have been definitely good with the details exactly. So that is what happens. The framing is very, very, very important. See, again, you might be a huge photographer, you might be like great photographer of all time. Everybody sticks on those small rules: composition, framing, rule of thirds, right? Those small things which you're learning now, it will stay with you for lifetime. Yeah, obviously you have to break those rules to make things better, but it doesn't go good all the time. It doesn't go well. Same image out of those cat images, I just took it and I just worked on it, did some post processing, changed some colors. So this is one of my favorite pictures, and a lot of people do like this picture. And same situation, I was just amateur at that point of time. I would have definitely got much better images with this. I'll tell you how. The same framing principle goes here. Same image, just one eyes and the other one. Completely different photograph. Close up. Still there are details. Still it looks good. Still the eye contact with the direct lens with the camera, which says something. And it's not always about zooming. As I said, zoom in, zoom out. It doesn't work like that. The next picture will serve it. Here it is. It's the same image, although same image, just the framing is different. You see the details, you see the eyes, right? Same image, but what you would have done better. I'd like to ask you to all of you to just go back, look at, sit on your images, just open it, try to reframe it. And trust me, half of the images which you thought these are like completely useless, and you would end up editing those and getting them on your phone or on the social media at the end of the day. Because you always learn. Okay, this is what I tell everybody, everyone who asks me how to get the best images. I just tell them, you can never get a best image. Okay, just go back to your images. Always store your images. Never delete anything, even if you feel that is a worst image in your life. Never delete it. Just sit now. Just everybody, just go back to your old images. Sit and do some post processing or reframing on that image, and you would understand what was your mistake. Okay, my framing was wrong. Okay, my angle was shooting was wrong. Okay, my exposure was wrong. Right? You would understand it, and what will help? Those images are like gone. It's not going to serve you any purpose. But what will help? It will help you understand, and it will help you be a better photographer in the future. So I always suggest everyone to go back to their old images, sit on it, try to reframe it, edit it, try to understand what went wrong, because this is a bad photo. And trust me, nothing can be a bad photo. We all are here, all the photographers here. We are like experienced, we are good, we have this skill. That is the reason we are here, and we are photographers, right? We stand out of others compared to others. Why? Because we have certain skills, because we are learning from new things. So that is what happens. So go back to your images, just sit and learn what are the mistakes and how you would have made things better. Moment. Okay, moment is again one of those thing which is very important in wildlife. It's like looking for a moment and capturing that moment. See, I'll just fast forward with these images. This is one image, 2, 3. So one mistake I didn't do here was losing my focus points. My focus was always on the bird. Then It just landed. For a lot of people, this is the best image because the water's flowing and it just landed. And then comes this. See this huge, majestic bird. There is no post-processing in this image. This is just raw out of camera. But yeah, following your subject will get you three different shots in 3 different seconds. It's just not that one image which you think, okay, this is the image I want where the bird is landing. No, follow your subject all the time and it will definitely give you great, amazing images than you expected. See, 3 images, 3 different shots, same subject, 3 different shots. And out of this, you can do whatever you want. You can reframe it. You can try to do the post-processing, slight, but not manipulation, obviously. I'll come on to the manipulation part now. See this image, okay? And compared to the last bird image, which had a negative space, but it did not had any disturbance. But here there are a lot of disturbance. And say a photographer who's in the industry and who's well versed with this genre, and he knows editing pretty good. And it's not, editing does play a huge role at the end of the day. I would definitely say that. I would even suggest everybody to learn it. But again, it's not the editing you should be dependent on. You should always depend on your skills. You should always depend on your gut feeling. I'm going to get this picture out of the camera straight, which will be my best shot. That should be your goal wherever you go, be it events, be it wedding, be it fashion, whatever it is. But if you feel, okay, whatever I shoot, I can shoot it, but in the post I'll make it right, but then I don't think you're going in a right direction. I don't think you're going to be a very good photographer, because photographers learn from their mistakes and they get better. And when you get better, there is nobody who can compete with you because you have learned from your mistakes. So that is what happens. So this is one of the images which I didn't like, and I feel there's a lot of disturbance. There's a lot of colors which is popping out. And just for this webinar, I just edited it, very slight editing. Done. This is good for social media though, okay? And I wouldn't recommend you guys to do this. A very bad image, not very bad, but obviously a bad image turned out to be something good. I can write something, right? If I'm doing a workshop, I can just use this image with this white and I can write something, my content on the other side, and I can use this image as a poster. So no image is useless, as I told you guys. Always keep your images, always try to make them better. So much of disturbance, and you can't use it for anything. Now I can at least use it for posters, or I can just make it a printing and I can just hang it in my wall, right? So that is how it goes. Again, lighting. Choosing what to edit, how to edit. Why did I even go for black and white? As I was telling you guys, why I like the Mithin's photos, especially with the Black Panther. See, it's very hard to get that exposure right. And these were very, very old images of mine in my early stages where I did end up getting the exposure right. So that is what costed me. But again, I just sat on these images and I thought, okay, I learned from it. I have to up my skills in terms of exposure, but what can I do better? How can I make this images look better? Post-processing. I did it. No major manipulation, just turn it to black and white, just play with highlights and lowlights and you'll get the pictures. Yes, I'm saying you can't use these pictures in a very high level manners for competitions of wildlife exhibitions, but these pictures will help you understand what you did wrong. So when you're sitting in the post-processing and you're editing these, when you're playing with the highlights and lowlights and shadows, and you would understand, okay, if I'm doing this and if I'm getting this image right, then what should have been my exposure? Probably the shutter, probably the aperture, probably the ISO, probably my white balance, right? So doing those will help you post-processing. Doing the post-processing will help you again up your exposure skills. I had told you guys last time, and I don't know, a lot of you might not even remember, and I still tell you guys, just try to go out, try to block your viewfinder and try to block your screen. Try to set your exposure without doing it. Just see your exposure, keep it in your mind, close everything, and then start playing with your exposure without even looking at it and shoot it. then you will understand. It will definitely help you make your exposure better. And trust me, like getting your skills and exposure right is a very, very, very good thing, because it saves a lot of time for you. A lot of people are very good photographers. They are very good with framing. They're very good with handling equipments, but they're not good with exposure. So what happens in the time they're trying to put those exposures, they're trying to feed that exposure to the camera, the moment has already gone. The tiger is passed away. The tiger has just moved. You don't have a shot. What were you doing? You're trying to set the exposure. To do it, you had all the time in your home where you were sitting there, and you would have learned to master your exposure. Right? Simple things. I just wanted to talk about simple things today: composition, framing, movement, exposure. So play with these simple things, master these simple things, and it will help you definitely at the end of the day to be a better photographer. Career and growth. And this is a huge question. A lot of people do ask me in wildlife, what is your career goal? And a lot of people have this misconception about, okay, I shoot some good images and I'll sell it to magazines. I'll become a Nat Geo photographer. I'll work for Discovery. I'll work for any big travel magazines. That doesn't work like that. And one piece of advice I would like to give it to you all, because you all are young and you're trying to pursue wildlife photography. Take up a job or a freelancing job or whatever it is. Have your monthly income ready in your hands. Because trust me, wildlife photography is very, very, very expensive. Okay, it's very expensive compared to any other genres, because the lenses, the cameras. Okay, just think that you had money, you have invested in lenses and cameras. It doesn't work. Where it will come into play, you have to go to the national parks. You have to sit there. You have to stay there for weeks. You have to go on morning safaris, evening safaris with the tiger trackers. Sit there, help understand, get the understanding, and they get the best pictures. To stay there in that wildlife sanctuary, near that wildlife sanctuary, your money, it goes on for a week. Your food money, it goes on. So always try to have your income initial stage. So have that income, save a huge amount of that money, and then try to shoot it. Rent out those equipments. There's no need for you to buy and have it. Doesn't serve you any purpose. Yes, those are assets with you. You can take it, you can shoot it whenever you want. But in the initial stage, when you're just learning, when you're trying to understand wildlife, always rent. Because when you're renting, you're trying different equipments. When you try different equipments, you will understand what suits you better, what will help your creativity pop out, which camera will be faster in your hand. Obviously, a lot of us are Canon users, a lot of us are Nikon users. But try and explore, rent out the equipments, go shoot. But on the other hand, always have this fixed income. No one can earn from wildlife photography from day one. Trust me, go to any wildlife photographer, they would state the same thing. When it comes to career, let's even think about career. A large chunk of money for wildlife photographers comes from webinars and workshops and wildlife tours. So they take them, they take the wildlife webinars, they take the wildlife workshops, and they take the people to wildlife tours, where they charge certain amount of money. You might have already known it. So they charge certain amount of money, and then with that money, they take you to tours, you guys shoot, you guys learn something, and you come back. And some amount of money after all the expenses will go to that photographer, obviously. But to come to that point, you should be knowing a lot of things. Because say if 10 people are coming to your workshop, or 10 people are coming to you on your wildlife trip, and you are a guide there, and say if 10 of them asks 10 different things and you can't answer at least 2 questions, then it serves a negative purpose. Even though you've answered those 8 questions right, all the people will remember just these 2 questions which you can't answer, and trust me, a lot of them won't come back to you at the end of the day for the next trip. They think, okay, this man is not completely knowledgeable, he doesn't know a lot of things, so I think we should go for someone else. Obviously, it's hands down, everyone can't know everything. But when you're trying to take such steps, when you're trying to take people to trips, when you're trying to take workshops, think and understand and learn a lot of things before you do that, because some of them are going to definitely come back and question you, and if they question you and if you don't know the answer, then obviously it goes on a negative track. So that is where career and growth in wildlife photography comes in. So that is very, very important. As I told you guys, just think of it as a passion for now, wildlife photography. I definitely recommend. Wildlife photography has a huge exposure. Wildlife photography is one of the best photography genres, but it's also one of the very, 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 very hard genres to excel in, to stay in the market for a long time and get the money out of it, the earnings, only earnings out of it. If you don't have a passive income, if you don't have any other income, if you're just trying to rely on wildlife, trust me, I don't recommend that. Say, let's take the situation of COVID. What did happen? A lot of photographers have this saying ki, we don't want to do corporate job, we don't want to stuck in a company and work for them. I work for a company and I'm happy with it because it serves me some money at the end of the month, even if it's COVID or whatever it is. Yes, I'm working, I'm putting my heart, I'm putting my hard work. That money comes in and I'm going to use that money, and at least once in a month or twice in a month, I'll just go on any wildlife sanctuary or any tiger reserves, I'll shoot. Say, if I had the same perception like others saying, I don't want to stuck in one company and don't do a job, I want to be a freelancer. Fair enough, do the freelancing work. And trust me, freelancers earn a lot of money. But what happened in the last 2 years? COVID. All the freelancers in world didn't have any work, especially the photographers. What would you do if you can't be present in a situation? Let's take wildlife photographers. None. Wildlife photography is closed. All the national parks are closed due to COVID. Where will you go? You can either just go back to your old pictures, edit it, post it, but that's not going to give you any money out of it. That will just keep your social media running. Yes, social media is also a like source of income, but again, you can't completely rely on it, right? So something I would suggest is, all of you, once you've graduated, all of you, once you're out there, if you're working somewhere, even if you're a freelancer, yes, try to have that state of mind where you are getting some money every month, some amount of money every month, which can guarantee you your safety first. Then I'll definitely suggest you guys to explore wildlife. Definitely explore wildlife. Do learn a lot of things, because at the end of the day, after this session, or probably after tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you just go, guys, go on YouTube or something like that. Just learn on some facts or territories of tigers or any small matter of that fact. Just learn that, and you will feel, okay, there is so much more to learn which I didn't knew, right? So there is a tiger killed. There was a tiger died 2 days or 1 day back in Bandipur because of the territorial fight. 2 tigers were fighting and 1 tiger died, and it's a huge loss for people. But again, for them, it was matter of life and death, because for a tiger, territory is very, very, very important. They just don't want to give it up and go out. There is always a fight. There is always a conflict happening. So learning these things will help you understand and will help you evolve as a person, and you can predict things much, much better, where you can have all the control like the other genres, and you will have the better pictures. Fair enough. But again, being a wildlife photographer, it's not only about photography. Okay, some of them try to be a wildlife conservator. They just change their career. A lot of them start working for wildlife NGOs and all. Why? Because there are a lot of reasons. Just read out this list. More than 1 million species are now at risk of extinction. Wildlife population size dropped by 2/3 since 1970s. Species are dying off more frequently than ever before. Freshwater species declining faster than anything else. Nearly 40% of plants at risk of extinction. 40% of plants, guys. Nobody would have even thought. Everybody says, okay, oxygen. Everybody says, save tigers, save lions. And yeah, what about plants? Bird species are also seeing population threats, obviously, because of the frequencies what we are using daily life. So these are the things which will help you even again realize what are the things which are going wrong, what can you do better. And a lot of them, trust me, I've seen a lot of them turning their careers and just contributing themselves for wildlife, working for wildlife, NGOs or whatever it is. And when it also comes to career, also to serve wildlife, I would request you guys to always connect with people who are related to wildlife, like wildlife department. Okay, just go to your nearest DF office, divisional forest officer's office, and trust me, these guys are uh, government service, and they're very welcoming and they're very warm. Because what are they trying to do? They're trying to save the nature. And what are you trying to do? You're trying to take the pictures, you're trying to make the videos, and you're trying to create that awareness to the people where we have to save the nature, and it will also serve their purpose. So I've seen a lot of officers uh, like helping, and a lot of officers motivating other photographers or video specialists for doing such things. Just be aligned, just be close with all the other forest departments nearby you, or any national park for that matter. You just go there, have a conversation with forest guards actually, because they are the one who are on ground doing a lot of things. And trust me, a lot of forest guards have a lot of knowledge, because they spend most of the time in the forest, so they see a lot of things, they observe a lot of things, and they learn a lot of things. So have these conversations, which will definitely help you at the end of the day. Okay. So that is what I wanted to say at the end of the day. We don't just own the planet Earth. We belong to it, and we must share it with our wildlife. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. It was great talking to all of you, and it was great meeting you all after such a long time, seeing those faces. And I'm really happy to do this. And yeah, if you have anything to say, please.
I now open this session for an question answer session. If anyone have any doubts regarding the topic, can ask right now.
So, what do you mean by urban photography, urban wildlife photography?
As I told you, urban wildlife photography is just near you. See, there are insects, right? There are snakes, and there are spiders. And my bad, I didn't include some of those spider images here. Those are just around you. There's no need for you to spend any money, right? For wildlife photography, obviously you have to spend money on your gas or something like that. But when it comes to urban wildlife, when it comes to urban wildness, there's no need for you to spend any money. They are just available like right near you. Just take out your camera, just go to any park nearby, and you can see an owl, you can see birds, you can see insects, you can see snakes. You can shoot it. Yes, that is not a complete career option out of it, but what will make things is it will make the things faster. If you learn few things here, it'll at the end of the day, it'll definitely going to help you when it go to wildlife, where you can just use these skills what you learn from urban wildlife and get the best pictures out of it. So as I was telling you the example of setting the exposure on spot when the tiger is just arrived. So if the tiger is arrived and you're trying to set the exposure, which you don't have a complete grip over it, and the tiger will just move, and you will just definitely miss this beautiful picture. So if you, instead of that directly going to wildlife, if you're staying back at home, if obviously COVID, everybody's at home, just go to your terrace, just look at the birds, or just go to nearby parks and just see what is happening. Even a squirrel or a small bird or a crow or a pigeon, pigeons are everywhere. Try to shoot it, because it's all motion, it's all wildlife, it's all, again, they are different species. So try and understand them. So trying to shoot pigeons is one of the hardest things is to focus and get the shutter speed right? So try and shoot the pigeons, and you'll face this issue. Okay, focus is out, or the shutter speed is wrong. But if you try to do it continuously, and if you master it, and at the end of the day, if you go to a wildlife park, and if you see a kingfisher there, and if it's just about to take off, and you know you have your skills, you have mastered it, and you're taking this kingfisher shot when it's about to take off, it doesn't take you any time for you to set the exposure or set the focus points. You know it's in your hand, it's in your mind, right? It just does it in 1 second, and you will get that picture. If you are not practicing it with the pigeon, even if it's a kingfisher or even whatever the bird it is, it'll just fly away, and you're trying to still fix the exposure, and you're still trying to fix the focus points. So that is what I mean. So this is this is a very important part where you just practice on it, and you'll definitely learn a lot of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're trying to say that first start with urban if you are going to wildlife photography.
Yes, obviously. See, if you're someone, obviously these days you don't even have an option. Trust me, a lot of huge photographers, wildlife photographers, are still shooting their cats and dogs at home. Yeah, those pictures are best because they have learned something in wildlife. But again, what would you do if there is a complete lockdown is happening? You can't travel. Either you go back to your old images, learn framing and post processing, or just see whatever is around you and just shoot it. See this for this example of this monkey image. What is there? It's not a great image, but it's just like it is just fun. A lot of people like it, right? So these this is one of my early stage of images where I shot it. So that is what happens. It will just up your skills. That's it. It doesn't serve any purpose, but it will just up your skills. Improving your skills is best thing than anything else, because that is what is going to serve a purpose later on in the field when you're shooting.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone having any more questions?
No.
So will you come to college, sir?
See, man, when are you guys gonna come?
September maybe.
As soon as the college is open.
Sure. Once this lockdown is done, and if you guys are in college, definitely get in touch. I'll definitely love to meet you all, and we'll have a chat. Here, I was only talking like it's boring again. Only it's me talking.
It's very interesting, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But again, I would love to like interact with all of you, and a lot of you have a lot of things to say. Like Ashmeet, for example, like Anjali, like Paul, for example. Paul, though, always there asking for something.
Oh,
So,
Lot
yeah.
of doubts, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It is a
okay.
pleasure for me to be here and sharing this platform and sharing my experience, and hope you guys have learned something, at least one point out of this webinar, and do implement it in your life, and it will definitely help you.
Now
Yes.
I invite Anjali Thare, club president, SPC, to share his vote of thanks.
Dear participants, I extend a big thanks on behalf of SPC Simedu Photography Club and Simedu School of Pro Expressionism for attending a wonderful event with us. I hope you have been enriched by the knowledge and experience shared by our guest mentor, Mr. Gagan Kumar. We Simedu Photography Club wants your continuous support and participation. Till then, hope to see you soon again on Instagram Live Talk with one of our faculties, Ms. Bhavana Sharma, and guest, Mr. Sunil Kumar Roman. Have a nice day ahead and happy Independence Day in advance.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you again. It was a very nice workshop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.